Hello again, folks. Welcome back to the Sprucey Kitchen. Hope you've been enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. I've been sick for the past 4 days, but I'm feeling better today, and that's why I'll be making a fittingly all-American classic, a macaroni and cheese pie with a bacon lettuce. This is something I'm very familiar with macaroni and cheese. I've never tried a bacon lettuce on a pie before, but I think it's going to be fantastic, and thank you, Chaos, for suggesting it. Let's get started. So what does one need for something like this? Well, a good macaroni and cheese, a good homemade one that you're going to bake in the oven, starts off with a roux. So flour and butter. You could use some other fat, but you know nothing really works better than butter. So if you're trying to do low fat, figure it out. We'll also need milk for that. 3 kinds of cheese. Got some cheddar here, and mozzarella, and Asiago. Of course, we'll be needing macaroni. Set them tiny. Elbows are probably the best, even they're most common. These are kind of like a bunch of elbows twisted together. Pie crusts. Bacon. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Spruce, what's with the pre-made pie crusts? I know there's a lot of great bakers out there among you and in my real-life friends. I know that because they never miss a chance to tell me what a great baker they are. I know how to bake. Everyone knows how to bake! I don't actually bake that much. I'm a stovetop wizard. It does nothing for me, folks. So, if you are a baker, I encourage you to make your best pie crust. What baking skills I have do not include pie crusts, so we're going to use these perfectly good pre-made ones here, and the macaroni is going to more than compensate for any store-bought-tude, store-boughtness that might come out of not making these fresh. Much love for the bakers, but some of us have other skill sets. Alright. Now here's a good trick for when you do have whole gradable blocks of good cheese. That's the best way to buy it economically. Sometimes if you can't go through it quickly because you're living alone or whatever, like me, sometimes it starts to dry out on one half. So good thing to do with that is to, especially for when you're trying to make something like baked macaroni and cheese and you're trying to melt it down into like a cheese sauce, you can just put it in your food processor and that's fine grind. The oven is preheating to 380, pretty much anywhere between 350 and 400 depending on how fast you want it done. Just keep an eye on it as it's baking. And the pot of water is coming up to a boil. Alright, now while that's all going down, we need to get our roux going. So cut off, I'm starting with 3 tablespoons of butter. You can always add more. Roux is kind of done by sight and by feel and by taste. Alright, as you can see, the butter, the 3 tablespoons is just about melted. Now we're going to add the flour. Now turn the heat down to halfway between medium and low. The flour, I keep it in this bag here because I'm a disaster when it comes to flour. Keeping it neat. This makes it easy for me. So you're going to add the flour just a little bit at a time and stirring constantly. You're going to be seeing it thicken. That's what we want. We have that thickening power. More. Alright, after a few more dollfuls of flour and cooking it down a bit more, we got ourselves a white roux here. That's all roux really is. It's flour or some kind of starch suspended in fat and cooked a bit to help along the chemical process. And you can keep cooking this down to a dark roux, but the white roux is all we really need here. And to that almost halfway between a liquid and a paste, we're going to add this cold milk. Stirring, stirring, stirring. Trying to keep any lumps from forming. That's the oven telling me it's ready. That'll work to start off with. And we're going to need quite a bit of cheese. It'll be amazing how much cheese you can fit in here. We need more liquid to melt it down. We've got plenty of milk and plenty more butter. And he's going to stir it to help it along. That was a cheddar first. It doesn't quite really matter what you start with. I like to start with the easiest milk and cheese first. It's my cheddar and mozzarella. And now the mozzarella. I'm just going to eyeball it a little at a time. As you might have guessed, the heat's got to go back up past medium, not quite to high. But after the cold milk and the cold cheese, you're going to need it. Now we're thickening up quite a bit as we're loading it up with cheese. That's okay. If it gets too thick, just add more milk. I've added some more milk. I'm also going to add some more butter, which will melt down, help thin things out. So we are getting kind of quick here. So just adjusting as you go. You got to get in the feel for it. More cheese, go with it. And last but not least, to our free cheese sauce, some of that Asiago. I always like to use at least 3 cheeses when building my cheese sauce for these kinds of macaroni and cheeses. Definitely makes a difference in flavor, complexity, kind of gives people a go and, oh, what makes this, taste different from what I've had before. This is not just cheddar. And you'll notice the lovely color here. This is, goes right back to my youth. Remember Mom making this and huddling over, watching her make it in the kitchen, kind of getting my first lessons in cooking. Alright, now once you got the texture and the thickness and the color right on your cheese sauce, turn it back down to low. We don't want it to curdle or if you're getting too hot. Keep stirring. And now we're going to add some seasoning. What kind of seasoning does it need? Well, I like to add Worcestershire sauce. Good, healthy dosing. Some mustard. A little cayenne pepper to give it a kick. Here's some black pepper. Stir that right in. Alright, the cheese sauce is looking delicious, it's tasting delicious, all ready to go. I just got it kind of sitting on low here. And before we add the pasta, let's review again. Big pot, plenty of water, salt the water. A rolling boil, gonna add all that good macaroni, stir it up so it stick to the bottom. I know it's a glare. I can't help it. It's like a halo coming down on me. Alright, and we'll let that sit there and get al dente, maybe even a little more of an al dente because it's gonna be baking. Alright, macaroni is all boiled and drained. Now we're just adding cheese sauce. Stir it up and pour right in. Getting every last bit. Alright, now I've tossed the macaroni and the cheese sauce, and now I've got this big, beautiful batch of macaroni and cheese here. Normally I would toss this into a casserole dish and top up some breadcrumbs, a little more cheese, and bake it into kind of a nice casserole. Today, of course, we're going big. We're making it into kind of a pie with bacon lettuce on top. But before we load up those pie shells, I just want to point out the elbow or celandine shape. And what's so good about it is that cheese sauce kind of goes into the hollow chambers and the ridges on the macaroni. And that makes every bite filled with that delicious sauce. They also kind of hook together into each other, which just makes a stronger, more unified texture in the casserole, or in this case the pie. So without further ado, let's put them into the shells. Alright, I've loaded up both pie shells with the mac and cheese, and now comes the magic, the bacon lattice. This idea is both brilliant and absurd. We've all seen a pie shell lattice before. You're taking strips like this and laying it across and lay some more the other way. That makes perfect sense because it goes great with mac and cheese, but dear God, this is not what you want to be making if trying to lose weight. And of course, it's a lattice, so you gotta thread it through, kind of like that. This bacon's gonna shrink up, of course, as it's cooking in the oven. So just threading it like you're sewing, under, over, under, over. A little more slippery than sewing. Alright, I've threaded the over-under lattice on every intersection, alternating over-under. There's probably more elegant ways of making a lattice than just threading the pieces through like that. But like I said, not really a baker. But it works. We have an over-under lattice on both pies. Now I'm just going to put these in the oven. I actually upped the heat to 425 to make sure that we get good crispy bacon on top and good baked macaroni and cheese on the bottom. Also, should have mentioned to start with, should probably prick the pie crusts before you load them up to give steam somewhere to go. And after half an hour in the oven on 425, just look how good they look. Golden brown, delicious. All that bacony and mac and cheese goodness coalesced, commingled, coagulated. So one thing of beauty. And as you can see, the first piece always comes out a little sloppy, or maybe it's just me. Second one's looking pretty good there. Nice solid piece of crust, mac and cheese, and bacon on top. Misty's come to join me. Enjoying this, a little more cheese on top, that's just me. A little more of the great Asiago. Enjoy this with a fine brew of choice, Sam Adams for me, very fitting for Memorial Day. And I think we're going to enjoy here, me and Misty. And I hope you had a very happy Memorial Day. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, should you choose to make it. And now remember, it's about the ones that didn't come back. So take time out to think about them. Think about how they're not going to get to enjoy something like this with their families, but they did what they did, so you go to yours. Have a happy Memorial Day. Happy cooking to you. That's all from the Sprucey Kitchen. It tastes as good as it sounds.